So, Ollie, how do you go about starting a teaching business? What do you have to get right?
So from scratch, from the beginning, yeah. So I think there are a few important things to get right so that you get momentum quickly and actually enjoy the process as well. The first thing is to actually make sure you're properly trained as a teacher. And the reason I say this, because it might sound obvious, but the reason I say it is because in recent years we've had a big, proliferation of people teaching online who are not actually trained in many cases, and it's great for the teachers because they can do something new straight away, but it's not great for the students necessarily. But more importantly, if you want to start a teaching business and you want to grow it and you want to do this for a while, you're going to find you have a lot more success if you're properly trained. Why? Because you're going to deliver better lessons, which means the students are going to stick with you longer and tell their friends. So it's just better overall.
Yeah. And you're going to feel more confident going into a lesson, knowing what you're doing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And should you be trying to appeal to everyone, all levels, all ages?
Yeah, so one of the things I see a lot is people, new teachers, advertising lessons for everybody. And you'll see this if you, if you go to any kind of teaching directory, any tutoring website. The most common thing that teachers will say is, I teach all ages, all levels, I tailor lessons to your needs. It's almost always written in that exact language. Now, the problem with that is, by trying to appeal to everybody, you end up appealing to nobody. And you used a very good restaurant analogy in another video we made.
Yeah, restaurant. You go to a restaurant and the menu is like a book of sort of 200 pages, and every single dish you can think of is on there. And
every different cuisine.
You know it's not going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a little bit like what happens with if you try to appeal for everybody as a teacher. If you put yourself in the shoes of a student who's selecting a teacher, who do I want to learn with? If this person is this person, they could scroll through hundreds of different people. What you need to do is to stand out and offer something that is very specific to a certain kind of student's needs. So by trying to appeal to everybody, you end up catching the attention of nobody. So what we want to do instead is try to define a niche or a speciality of some kind. So this could be teaching medical English. This could be teaching Spanish to foreigners studying in a Spanish university. This could be specializing in grammar. It could be any number of different niches, and everyone's got something about their past, their skill set, their experience that means they can do something very, very clear and specific that uses and utilizes their skill set that someone out there in the world, likely many, many people, want to learn from. So it's about not trying to appeal to everybody, rather very specifically targeting one kind of teaching.
Yeah. And how do you find these students?
There are many different ways that you can find students. A lot of people kind of go out on social media. Other people go and advertise on these big tutoring platforms where you can list yourself along with thousands of other teachers. But really, the superpower here, the way to really attract your dream students is to, first of all, you've got to have a clear idea of who those students are. And this is part of the problem of trying to appeal to everybody. You don't actually have an idea of who your students are. Let's say that you wanted to teach medical English, for example. And so you were going to specialize teaching, helping people who had moved, to say immigrants to the US or the UK who worked in the health sector. Millions of people, by the way, fit in that kind of bracket. What you want to ask yourself is a very simple question. If I want to reach these people, where do they hang out? Where does a new medical practitioner hang out? Now, I don't know the answer to that because that's not my field, but you can find that out by looking for what are the forums that they might be in on Facebook, for example. What are the websites that are set up for those people? What magazines do they read? And then you can actually go and advertise your lessons in those specific places, and it has the effect of not only putting yourself in front of these people, your ideal students, but it also means that you're likely the only person advertising there, so there's no competition. And so this is how you get in front of your ideal student very, very effectively.
I guess you have to be careful with social media because everybody's advertising on social media.
I mean, social media, it's one of those, so everybody's got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok on their phone. Everybody, and it's what's most visible. We all open up social media every day, we see what's there, and with the touch of a button, we can do it ourselves. So a lot of people default to social media as the place they spend their time and the place that they also go to try to get students, because it's easy, because they see everyone else doing it, Now, the problem with easy things that everyone else does is it's impossible to stand out. And so unless you're a real social media expert and you know how to build a huge following on social media, I generally advise people to steer well clear, not because you can't do good, effective and interesting things on social media. It's just that there are far better places to spend your time.
Like the forums.
Like the forums, like asking yourself that key question, how do I get in front of my dream type of student?
What about hours? So should you start doing 20 hours a week or less?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we often find that when the way that we train new teachers to set up their tutoring business, when they do it the right way, they often get a lot of interest very, very quickly from different students, and it can lead to overwhelm quite quickly and quite easily, actually. You know, when you first start teaching, especially when you're teaching for yourself, there is quite a bit to get used to. You know, you have to get used to the tech side of things, getting comfortable on Zoom. You have to get used to the teaching itself, you know, and teaching at the beginning can be quite tiring because when you're new to it, you're overthinking everything. And so generally the way to set up, the way to gain confidence, the way to grow something that is really, really strong and stable is to go slowly. So, you know, start with 1 hour after work, a couple of hours at the weekend of teaching. Find your feet, go slowly. What will happen is you're able to adjust, to get used to the teaching. Students will have a much better experience because you're not too tired, and then you can build on a very strong foundation. So I really would recommend not opening up your calendar
and planning takes more time at first, doesn't it? And the more you teach, the faster you can plan. You've got more hours available.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about what you charge? How should you decide how much to charge the student?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, and a lot of people worry about pricing. So generally, a couple of things are true. First of all, it's true that you can charge quite high hourly rates once you figure out exactly who you are helping and who you are teaching. But we build up to that. We don't start. We don't go on day one, $100 an hour for really expensive lessons. You can build up to that, but generally speaking, you want to start quite low, and the reason is that you just want to build up your confidence. A lot of the time, new teachers worry that they're not delivering value to their students, and in reality, they almost always are. But it's just a confidence issue for many of us. This was certainly the case for me. I felt really bad charging anybody for lessons right at the beginning, and so to build up that confidence, it's easiest just to go in. You can charge a low hourly rate. It's not forever. It could be just for a few weeks, just so that you can build your confidence teaching, build your confidence actually feeling okay charging money to students. And over the course of a few weeks, you get used to, you figure out that you are actually delivering value. You're really helping people, and then that gives you the confidence to begin to raise your prices gradually.
Yeah. Of course, teaching from home has many benefits, but one of the differences is that you are alone essentially. It's you in your office, your living room, teaching the student. How do you avoid it becoming too much of a solitary?
Right, because one of the good things about a traditional teaching job is you have the staff room, and the staff room, lots of things go on in the staff room.
Yes,
for better.
We can't talk about all of them.
For better or for worse. Yeah. But one of the things you do have is that camaraderie from having colleagues. It's the proverbial water cooler conversation. And you don't have that when you're teaching from home. And so one of the best things to do early on is to actually join a community of other teachers, and there are many out there. And a community of teachers gives you so many things, from the camaraderie of just being around other people, tips, learning how other people do their teaching, run their business, and also you'll find that teachers send you students over time when you're a better fit than they will be. So joining a community of teachers early on is a really important thing to do.
And we can use social media for that.
You can use social media. You probably have to, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Some good tips.